Andre Batiste takes you beyond the scores, beyond the medals, and beyond the controversy in a special multi-episode series. The good, the bad, and the ugly of sports in Trinidad and Tobago. Hear from some of the nation's top athletes, administrators, coaches, and the biggest names in local sport as they share their triumphs, challenges, frustrations, and hopes for the future. Airs Wednesday 10th to Friday 12th at 2:30 p.m. Only on WESN, the content capital.
In this day of stay-at-home and work from home, home has never meant more than it does today. Whether you're looking to buy, rent, or build your new home, now is the time to get going. Gittins & Gittins real estate agents are here to take you to that place of your dreams. Let us take you home. We help you find that rental to rest along the way, or journey with you to find your home destination. Investors and commercial enterprises too, call us and we'll walk the distance to place your business in just the right location. Owners, leave the headaches to us. We'll find your tenants or buyers while you stay at home. We'll even manage your property at your bidding. Anything real estate, come home to Gittins & Gittins Real Estate. Call us at 760-3280 or 747-1220 or visit us at 16 Fifth Street in Woodbrook.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I am Takia Thompson, your host for our Thriving and Throwback Thursday. Starting off strong in today's show, the debate over whether Piarco International Airport should be renamed after former Prime Minister Basilio Pandey is drawing reactions from the country's indigenous community. We address this in our TNT Landmark Changes segment. See, the Santa Rosa First People community says while it respects Pandey's contributions to Trinidad and Tobago, any move to replace the name Piarco must involve meaningful consultation and consideration of the site's historical and cultural significance. Chief Ricardo Barrett Hernandez joins us to discuss the community's concerns and why they believe the name Piarco should be preserved. Good morning, Mr. Hernandez.
Good morning to you and to your viewing audience.
Now, Mr. Hernandez, can you explain why the name Piarco holds such significance for the indigenous community, and also, share on how some people may see this as simply a name change? Why do you believe it carries greater cultural and even historical implications?
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity to share our thoughts and our concerns on this issue.
Yeah.
The name Piarco is one of the place names that is identified with our indigenous past and present. And for us, it holds a lot of significance in that if you remove the name, you will be contributing to the further demise and erosion of whatever little is left of our indigenous culture and heritage. And we must remember that the indigenous peoples, like all peoples today, made a significant contribution to the development of this nation. Mm-hmm. During the time when the indigenous peoples occupied the land in its totality, that is to say that when there were no other ethnicities, they contributed in the way and what was available for them at that time. Mainly in cotton trails, many of which we use today as our main roads and highways, developing the agricultural sector. So what they had available to them in terms of resources, they made their contribution. Piarco is one of the indigenous names. We are told from very young that it was one of the nations or tribes that occupy that area, that this place is named after them, or it was given by them to describe some aspect of that area. This is the history that we have. Mm-hmm. So that you know, the indigenous people have lost so much as compared to other groups that are in the society today practicing their indigenous heritage and culture, and they are even adding to it from their motherlands and so such as, you know, those who came from India, those who came from Africa, and so on. So we see this as preserving the little that we have left of our indigenous. If you continue to raise this one, tomorrow you might want to erase another one. And finally, all will be gone. And what do we have to identify and to leave for future generations as it pertains to our history, you know, and our cultural past? So that is why we feel that it is so important that the name Piako remains in whatever is to come in the future.
Yeah. And Mr. Hernandez, your statement raises concerns about, you know, that lack of consultation. Have any government officials or even stakeholders reached out to the community regarding this proposal?
No, no government officials, and I must remind you that really this did not come directly from the government. As far as I could recall, it came from a sector in the society or a section in the society. I think one of the East Indian groups or organization who saw it fit to call for this name change, and so it was not a direct request from the government. As we heard the Prime Minister say that they are considering renaming Nelson Island. This came directly from the government. So in this regard, it is not something that came from the government, and no one has contacted us for any sort of you know, opinion. It's just what we saw in the media and so on, responded to it.
Yeah. And in terms of that consultation or even meaningful consultation, what would that look like with indigenous groups in this situation?
Okay, well, let me tell you, I think the indigenous peoples have for a long time been lobbying. That is Santa Rosa, and then there are some new groups that came on the scene in recent times. And I believe that a forum with it, we are placed in the Ministry of Culture and Community Development. That's our line ministry.
Right.
But there is no setting or no, you know, like, let me give you an example. In the past regime, the past government under the People's National Movement, and even under the last People's Partnership government that the present Prime Minister was the Prime Minister of the country at that time too, we had what you call committees, cabinet appointed committees, to deal with all the issues that affect First Peoples. So we could have brought up in these committees issues such as this one and discuss it, among many other issues. And then with the hope that it will go to the relevant department if it warranted cabinet oversight or just a ministerial oversight or whatever. And that is what we consider meaningful discussion. It is not only on a single issue, but with the lack of that, since the change of government, we have not had that kind of forum or avenue to express ourselves and to discuss matters like this. And we have asked that something be done, either a Bureau of First Peoples Affairs be set up in the ministry, or a committee again, or something where we can have what we call meaningful discussion. Yeah. Discussion on a one-on-one, so it's not meaningful, it's not registered, it doesn't go anywhere, there's no record so that you can trace. So when we say meaningful, we mean that you know, there must be proper records, there must be proper minutes so that you can refer back to the discussions raised and the decisions taken. And this is what we mean by when we say meaningful discussion, as I say, not only on this issue, but there are so many issues that affect First Peoples today.
Yeah. The NCIC, they argue that, you know, the airport should be naming the airport after Basdio Pandey would be a fitting tribute to a transformative national leader. How do you respond to that argument?
Well, I have said in the past, and I will say again, we cannot prevent any administration, whether the current or the past, or one to come, from changing the name of the airport or any other institution that they feel they want to change it. But what we are saying is whatever decision is taken and whatever name comes up, there must be a way to incorporate the name Piako so that Piako remains there as part of this overall change. So we are not for or against the direct change of Piako to add a name to it. We are not against that. But what we are saying is if the name Piako totally comes out of that, then we see that as a disrespect.
Yeah. And you've touched on this and may have even answered it, but in terms of looking at that alternate way or another way, the country could commemorate Mr. Pandey's legacy without changing the airport's existing name. Like, do you think there are alternative ways that could happen?
Yes, but I wonder if you mean in terms of looking at another edifice, another building, another symbol to put on it. I think that could be appropriate. I don't have at this present time a recommendation, but I think if it's studied, that they can find something appropriate to name after the former prime minister. Yes.
Yeah. And your statement says place names carry the memory of ancestors and even communities. Can you elaborate on why preserving indigenous place names is important?
It is important because it reminds us of our true history. Many times we talk and we say and do things as if Trinidad started at independence. There is nothing before independence, and that is so wrong. Trinidad had so many indigenous communities all across the country, and they had their own governance system. They ran their own affairs, so that there was a thriving community and peoples living in different parts of Trinidad that managed their own affairs and contributed to the development. So Trinidad didn't start at independence. Even when Columbus came, it wasn't until about almost 200 years after that the Spanish government decided to take up occupation in this land and started to develop and transform the place according to their own tradition and cultures and so on. And during that period, the indigenous peoples lost quite a lot. They lost their language, they lost their spirituality, they lost so much that was just taken away from them. We hear of the other ethnic groups complaining of well, not really complaining, but reminding us on every opportunity that they get with their celebrations of the hardships that they went through slavery and through indentureship, which is true. But we don't hear anything about the First Peoples, the First Nations. How much more did they suffer? What was meted out to them was so much more brutal than these other groups that came after, and we hear nothing about that. And some of these other groups were compensated by the colonizers to a certain extent. What did the indigenous people inherit? Nothing. They were just driven around, beaten, killed, the culture broken. You could say they are broken people. So that, this is where we are today.
Yeah. And you mentioned history and you took us on a journey there, but how much of Trinidad and Tobago's indigenous history do you think the average citizen understands today?
I think very little, if any at all. And that is one of the reasons that why people can make these suggestions, because they don't know of the indigenous, so it comes like not important to them. So that is why we need a greater effort in our education system. In the curriculum, we have lobbied through one of the past committees for more focus on indigenous peoples, and we have been able to attain that at a certain level, but much more needs to be done. The country, the citizens need to be educated really, truly about our past history, where we came from, that makes us who we are today, and where we look forward to be in years to come. So I think a greater emphasis should be placed either through the education system or some forum where we can continue to educate the nation on our indigenous First Peoples.
Yeah. And this statement also referenced discussions surrounding Nelson Island. Now, are you concerned about a wider pattern, as you would have mentioned before, involving sites of historical significance?
I didn't get the full question. Am I concerned of?
Of a pattern forming about other sides of a historical significance with that name changing in terms of that discussion around Nelson Island?
Well, to be quite frank, I don't have too much a problem with Nelson Island, the name being changed, because Nelson or Nielsen or, whatever the name was, most likely would be an English person who would have contributed in some way to some negative influences on one of our ethnic groups and so on. So I don't have a problem with that in changing the name of Nelson Island. But again, you see, these are difficult situations, because Nelson Island is holds a significant place too for not only one group in the society. There are so many other groups or ethnicities that were touched by Nelson Island. How do you arrive at a name that will be acceptable to everyone? To be acceptable. Maybe you cannot get that, because there are so many diverse peoples, and Nelson Island would mean different things to them. In terms of the change of name, I don't have a problem with it. The problem comes when is, how do you choose a name that can best be accepted by all concerned, for Nelson Island?
Yeah. And what safeguards would you like to see in place before decisions are made about renaming national landmarks?
Well, the last administration had dealt with that to a certain extent, in that when the Columbus issue came up, as you know, there were big concerns on Columbus and to remove the statue and so on. Mm-hmm. So the then government saw it fit to set up a committee to deal with how you treat with monuments, signage, and things like that. And I was part of that committee, among other representatives of other sectors of the society. And we did a lot of work. We interviewed a lot of people, groups, and interests, and so on. And we came up with a report that was presented to the former Prime Minister. And that report is there. So that there's a lot of information that we can get from that as to how you go forward with dealing, with these issues. And I should think it is complete, or if it is not seen as complete, maybe they can follow up with that. But there is a start. Mm-hmm. And, I think it was a good way of dealing with it, because all the different interest groups had an opportunity to express themselves and to say how they feel.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Hernandez, is there a message you'd like to leave with the viewers and the public this morning that is looking on, that one takeaway that you'd like them to get from this discussion this morning?
Well, I would just like them, the populace, to be a little more open and to avail themselves as best as possible to the information that is out there on First Peoples. You hear today so much negatives about the people who are here are not purely First Peoples, and they seem to want to discredit the existing community for not being 100% pure blood indigenous. Hardly you will find any indigenous pure blood people except those large countries where people still live isolated in deep jungle areas. Even in Guyana, Suriname, and many other places where there are lots of indigenous people, they have mixed blood today. And that is not the fault of the people. That was so because the colonizers deliberately set out. That was a strategy of theirs, so that they can create a mixed people. And what was the purpose of that? To disenfranchise the descendants of the First People of their rights to the land and many other inherent rights. And we have seen that they did a good job of it, because today when people throw that at you, they are doing just what the colonizers wanted. So we are being disenfranchised of a lot of inherent rights based on the mixture of blood. And the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People speak to that, realizing that that is one of the issues. So people can avail themselves on the declaration. It speaks about the same thing we were discussing, the names of a place, the indigenous names, how you preserve them, about a mixture of a people. I made a reference recently about Canada being the most advanced country as it pertains to dealing with the issues of their First Peoples. And there is one group in Canada that is called the Métis. And the Métis is a nation that is of mixed ancestry. indigenous and some other European or other mixture. And you know what? They are protected in the Constitution of Canada as an indigenous group. So bringing up the argument that there's a mixed group and don't take them on and so on, it is just to further fulfill what the colonizers set out to do. So that should be thrown out, discarded. You know, so all I can say to the population is that we need to avail ourselves and to do more research and to find out more of the indigenous peoples, you know, before we take certain hard positions. Because just as the other groups and ethnicities are fighting to secure their space and their heritage, we also have a right, according to the UN Declaration. And apart from the UN Declaration, our own inherent feeling and rights allow us to fight for and to preserve what is left of our heritage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hernandez, for coming on and being a part of this morning's conversation. Again, really, it was informative what you shared with us today. And I do hope the viewers really take what you said and go about their days to making that difference, making that change, and doing the research.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah. Guys, we are about to take a short break, and when we come back, we have more engaging conversations, so stay with us.
In this day of stay-at-home and work from home, home has never meant more than it does today. Whether you're looking to buy, rent, or build your new home, now is the time to get going. Gittins & Gittins real estate agents are here to take you to that place of your dreams. Let us take you home. We help you find that rental to rest along the way or journey with you to find your home destination. Investors and commercial enterprises too, call us and we'll walk the distance to place your business in just the right location. Owners, leave the headaches to us. We'll find your tenants or buyers while you stay at home. We'll even manage your property at your bidding. Anything real estate, come home to Gittins & Gittins Real Estate. Call us at 760-3280 or 747-1220 or visit us at 16 Fifth Street in Woodbrook.
Problems trying to get aroused, women
loss
who
of
have libido, and women who have problems actually trying to achieve an orgasm, something as simple as that. So all of those things tend to happen a little bit further along after the hot flashes and the night sweats, but they are real symptoms. They do exist and they get pushed under the rug quite a lot. So they are commonly underdiagnosed, they're underreported, they're underdiagnosed, they're undertreated.
Are you driven, ambitious, and ready to earn?
WESN, the content capital, is expanding, and we're looking for dynamic media sales executives to join our team. Sell powerful advertising solutions across television, digital, and social media platforms, and help brands tell their story. If you have strong communication skills, a passion for sales, and the drive to succeed, join WESN today. Send your CV to marketing@wsncc.com or WhatsApp 68-61662 and start building your future.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide, Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Welcome back. For many, a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis can bring uncertainty and fear. But for author Cav Pratap, it became the beginning of a remarkable journey of resilience, faith, and self-discovery. Let's find out more in our Thriving Today segment. In her new book, Conquering 20, Pratap chronicles 2 decades of living with the condition, sharing her experience of overcoming paralysis, embracing alternative healing methods, and finding strength through spirituality. Her story is one of perseverance and hope, offering inspiration to others facing their own personal challenges. We welcome her this morning. Good morning, Cav.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here this morning.
Absolutely. Can you tell us what inspired you to write Conquering at 20 at this point in your life?
Okay, so I faced many challenges since I was 18 years old. I'm now 41. I thought it was very important to document the things that I went through. There were so many trials, there were so many struggles, but yet I was able to overcome each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And I think no one can tell my story better than me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And even with telling your story, why was it important that you told your story in your own words?
Yes, I wanted to maintain the authenticity of my vision, my voice.
Yeah.
I wanted everything to come from my emotions, the way I felt. I wanted to capture that.
Mm-hmm. And in the title itself, Conquering 20, what does that represent to you?
It represents 20 years of overcoming fears, trials, struggles, but no matter what, and I went through some really difficult times, no matter what, I was able to pull myself out of it every single time, and I was able to build the life that I wanted for myself.
Yeah. And can you take us back to when you were first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at 18, and even a bit expand on what was that experience like?
So that was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced in my life. I woke up at 2 in the morning, paralyzed. So at that age, I have no idea what is happening to me. Even when we got to the doctor and they started doing tests and multiple sclerosis was suggested, I had no idea. My family, no one had any idea what that was, because 20 years ago, that wasn't something that was well known in Trinidad and Tobago. And still up to this day, there's a lot of people who have never heard of it.
Yeah. Wow. And were there moments during those early years when you felt overwhelmed or uncertain about your future?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Many times, honestly, in the early years, I did not expect to live past 30.
Wow.
Even with the research that I was doing, with what I was seeing online, I honestly did not think in my current state I would have survived. So I started so multiple sclerosis, the version that I have is relapsing remitting. So I would have a relapse and then I would go into remission. So what I did is when I was in remission, I would try to do everything I could do. I would try to live as hard as I could. And then when a relapse hits again, it means checking out of life for maybe a week, 2 weeks at a time.
Wow, yeah. You wrote about choosing alternative and regenerative approaches to healing. What led you down that path?
Research.
Yeah.
Honestly, having a disease was scary enough, but doing the research was just as scary because the prognosis was not good. Then when Trinidad actually got a treatment for multiple sclerosis, it was a few years after my diagnosis, I was called by a doctor to let me know and ask me if I wanted to go on it. But the research I had done previously said that you couldn't have children while on the medication. And then I thought, well, if this is going to cause my body even more distress that it is already in, it is not something I want to put in my body. And even from that young age, I knew I wanted to have children at some point in my life. So I made the decision to try as many natural remedies as possible.
Yeah.
My thinking was that I refuse to put things into my body that is going to harm it more than help it.
Yeah.
And I've stayed true to that up till this day.
Wow. Can you share a bit on how did your faith and even spirituality influence your recovery and outlook on life?
Faith was very strong even in those days. I think it is stronger now, but I had to hold on that there was a greater meaning, there was a greater plan for me.
Yeah.
And even now, I say that I've been through a lot in life, and I bounce back every single time. So I think there's a greater purpose for me, and there is greater meaning to my life.
Yeah.
So I hold on to the fact that whatever I go through, I will overcome it.
Wow. Now, the book, it touches on mental health and, going along those paths. How important was mindset in navigating your condition?
Very, very crucial. And honestly, I did not have the best mental health throughout that 20 years, but I worked, I learned, I figured things out on my own, and now I have basically a formula that I work with. So for my mental health, I need to make sure that I'm exercising regularly. I have to be very careful with my diet. There's a lot of things that I do not eat at all. I make sure that I practice mindfulness, and I am very careful about what I consume in terms of the media, social media, and things like that.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to someone who has recently received a life-changing diagnosis?
To hold on.
Yeah.
Because that day and that moment is not the final and the be-all, end-all of your life. There is better to come. You just have to be able to hold on long enough to get to the better.
Absolutely. What do you hope readers take away from Conquering 20?
That no matter what the challenge, no matter what the struggle, take it one day at a time. Because I guarantee you, and I've seen this in my own story, every morning that you wake up, you will wake up to something different.
Yeah.
And if you are in a bad place right now, it doesn't mean you're going to remain in that bad place.
Yeah.
So faith is important.
Absolutely. After conquering these past 20 years, what is the next chapter of your journey, both personally and even professionally?
Personally, as I said before, I was always focused on having children, and I have 2 children now. My daughter is 12 and my son is 9. I homeschool them.
Yeah.
So I am very involved in the day-to-day lives and making sure they're doing all the activities. So that is my focus. My family is my focus right now.
Yes.
Personally, professionally, I want to continue writing, speaking. I think my story is an inspirational one, and
Yes,
in this day and this time, inspiration is very important.
Yeah.
to help others fight and hold on through whatever they are dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in one of the pictures there, we saw a bookstore. Can you tell us where we can get this book and how we can get a copy of it? Yeah.
So it's available in Scribbles and Quills in Chaguanas. That is the only bookstore that is carrying it.
Yeah.
It is also available on Amazon, and I sell copies locally as well. So I have my page, Cavs Life, where I share messages almost daily, and I deliver copies to readers straight from there who would have ordered.
Wow. Your story is really one of inspiration, and I do hope that the readers really take away from it, you know, that overcoming each obstacle every time, the setbacks each time. Lastly, what advice or what would you say to someone who feels like they're facing an impossible challenge right now?
I think that as long as you have faith that better will come, it will come. Your mind honestly controls a lot of your destiny, and you have to see that your life is going to lead somewhere positive.
Yeah.
And you have to hold on to that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Cal, for coming on and sharing about your book. And just in case, you know, persons missed it the first time, where can we get your book and where can we purchase it?
It can be ordered through my Facebook and Instagram page, Cavs Life. It can be found on Amazon, and it can be found locally at Scribbles and Quill in Chaguanas.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing your story with us. Truly remarkable, truly inspirational. Definitely something that everyone can take away something from it, you know, and really apply it to themselves. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Guys, we are about to take another short break, and when we come back, we have more engaging stuff for you, so stay with us.
Trinidad and Tobago, get ready for a musical explosion of freedom, culture, and pure steel band magic.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus their talented youth bands.
Get ready for generations of steel.
The ultimate celebration of our national instrument.
Featuring 5 of the nation's super bands, plus the talented young band.
Experience the power and passion of Desperados,
Shell Invaders,
Massey Trinidad All-Stars,
First Citizens Supernovas,
and the pride of the South, Fun Play. Saturday, July 11th.
At the iconic Grandstand, Queens Park, Savannah.
Save $100 and get your early bird tickets at $200 until Saturday, June 27th.
Get yours now. available at ICNTT.com,
At Crosby St. James,
All Kenny Sports,
All Extra Foods Supermarket,
Westby, Tagarigua, Athletes by the Park,
Jumbo Foods Barataria,
GAC Electrical, opposite Starlight, Diggermarkton Main Road,
Mirage Westside Supermarket in Arima,
and all participating bands. Presented by Super Padman, Dane Gulston and Friends. For more info, call 732-3402.
Generations of Steel.
In every victory, there's a story. In every defeat, there's a lesson. And behind every headline, there's a truth waiting to be told. Next week, veteran sports journalist Andre Batiste takes you beyond the scores, beyond the medals, and beyond the controversy in a special multi-episode series. The good, the bad, and the ugly of sports in Trinidad and Tobago. Hear from some of the nation's top athletes, administrators, coaches, and the biggest names in local sport as they share their triumphs, challenges, frustrations, and hopes for the future. Airs Wednesday 10th to Friday 12th at 2:30 p.m. Only on WESN, the content capital.
In this day of stay-at-home and work from home, home has never meant more than it does today. Whether you're looking to buy, rent, or build your new home, now is the time to get going. Gittins & Gittins real estate agents are here to take you to that place of your dreams. Let us take you home. We help you find that rental to rest along the way, or journey with you to find your home destination. Investors and commercial enterprises too, call us and we'll walk the distance to place your business in just the right location. Owners, leave the headaches to us. We'll find your tenants or buyers while you stay at home. We'll even manage your property at your bidding. Anything real estate, come home to Gittins & Gittins Real Estate. Call us at 760-3280 or 747-1220 or visit us at 16 Fifth Street in Woodbrook.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Hi, I am Emiliana Beechan and I am a mental health and conflict resolution consultant. Welcome to Mind Matters, the show where we explore the intricate world of mental health and the art of conflict resolution. Join us as we hear from mental health professionals, conflict resolution experts, and everyday people who have transformed their lives through understanding and communication. Mind Matters, WESN Content Capital.
Are you driven, ambitious, and ready to earn? WESN, the content capital, is expanding, and we're looking for dynamic media sales executives to join our team. Sell powerful advertising solutions across television, digital, and social media platforms, and help brands tell their story. If you have strong communication skills, a passion for sales, and the drive to succeed, join WESN today. Send your CV to marketing@wsncc.com or WhatsApp 68-61662 and start building your future.
problems trying to get aroused.
Loss of libido.
Loss of libido, and women who have problems actually trying to achieve an orgasm. Something as simple as that. So all of those things tend to happen a little bit further along after the hot flashes and the night sweats, but they are real symptoms. They do exist, and they get pushed under the rug quite a lot. So they are commonly underdiagnosed. They're underreported, they're underdiagnosed, they're undertreated.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond
wanna-
to me.
respond
Respond to
to
me.
you?
How you would respond to me?
The first question I'll ask is why.
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
This is Face of Sports WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No.
Let's go to the last part.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Welcome back. Firstly, we want to thank our guests for joining us this morning, Ricardo Hernandez as well as Kav Prater, for joining in on the conversations and leaving informative information and sharing that story with us of inspiration and resilience. Now we turn our attention to a video of therapist Sharon Bermudez to explore the realities of complicated grief, how parents cope after losing a child to violent crime, and what support systems are urgently needed in Trinidad and Tobago. We leave you with this video. Take a look at it. Welcome back. The recent wave of tragedies involving children across Trinidad and Tobago has left the nation shaken, grieving and searching for answers. From deadly shootings and disappearance to devastating acts of violence that have stolen young lives, many families are now forced to navigate unimaginable pain under the public spotlight. We address this in our Mindset Aspect segment. Mental health professionals warn that when a child is lost suddenly through crime or violence, the grieving process can become deeply complex and traumatic. For many parents, especially mothers, the emotional impact extends far beyond sadness, often affecting identity, daily functioning, relationships, and even physical health. Therapist Sharon Bermudez joins us this morning to explore the realities of complicated grief, how parents cope after losing a child to violent crime, and what support systems are urgently needed in Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Ms. Sharon.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
A little tired, but otherwise good.
That's good to hear. Now, Ms. Sharon, you've described this as complicated grief. So tell us, what is complicated grief and how does it differ from normal grief?
Okay, so we talk about grief and grieving as a result of death and the normal grief process. And the normal grief process when there's the death of a loved one can take up to 3 years for the person to kind of come to terms with the loss and get to the point where they are able to kind of fully reintegrate into life. It will still hurt the loss, but they are able to function much better. With complicated grief, the grieving period is longer. The person may end up feeling a bit stuck in the situation that triggered off the loss in first place. And so instead of like it taking up to 3 years, sometimes people could go all the way up to like 7 years to come to terms with a traumatic loss. So if you were to look, so to be clear, because people may get a little confused, you may look up complicated grief and see a different timeline than the one that I'm discussing. To be officially diagnosed with complicated grief, it's a period of 1 year that they're looking for in an adult and 6 months for a child. However, just in general, the time spans that we are looking at, for most deaths, is 3 to 7 years.
Yeah. And now you mentioned death. Why can violent or sudden deaths intensify this grieving process?
It's just not how we ever expect that we would lose somebody.
Yeah.
Death is a part of life. There's no getting around that.
Right.
And when it happens and we lose somebody that we love, it is always going to hurt. It's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be a process to come to terms with it. And that is why there is a normal grief curve that is there. But nobody thinks about losing their child in the first place.
Yeah.
And then if you add on to that, I have lost my child because that child was murdered. I have lost my child who was maybe sexually assaulted before they were murdered. I lost my child to some form of dismemberment. You know, just kind of put in any kind of situation where somebody dies in a very unnatural way. It is difficult for the mind to come to terms with how could this happen, right? So they were there one day, they were good, they were happy, they were doing normal child things. Some days they were my joy, some days they wanted me to, made me feel to pull my hair out and scream and shout and, you know, I'm so tired and all the normal things of being a parent.
Yeah.
And then another day they're not there, and for a reason that is beyond the mind's ability to comprehend. I think that is one reason why it gets more difficult. The other reason is just the consequences that come with it. The amount of media that is on it, the amount of people that is talking about it. You don't have the luxury of grieving in privacy.
Right.
You are dealing with the courts, sometimes the police. There are a lot of stressful other systems that you're dealing with on top of the grief itself.
Yeah. And on that psychological level, how does murder or violent loss psychologically affect the parents that experienced this loss?
Oh gosh, there are so many things. Because I guess the first thing is just this mentally coming to terms.
Right.
How do you make sense out of nonsense? It is like if somebody took a puzzle that was already fully built out and broke it up into little pieces and scattered it all over the place, and now I'm trying to find the pieces and to put together the pieces in a way to make sense. And I can't. So there's a lot of mental confusion. There's a lot of, depending on how the child died, kind of placing yourself into the pieces of information that you have gotten and trying to understand it, to understand what your child may have gone through. So there's a kind of a vicarious living, of what you imagine your child went through.
Yeah.
And then thinking about that, of course, it's going to have its own set of implications on it. So these things could come out in the form of nightmares. It could come out in the form of intrusive images passing through your mind of again, what you imagine has taken place. It could come out in terms of problems with memory, problems with concentration, problems with problem solving, decision making. Like, it has its impact on the thinking part of things. It has its impact on the feeling part of things because you are dealing with feelings of fear, feelings of anger, feelings of grief, feelings of betrayal. There's so much that is happening there. So there's a big emotional piece that is present.
Yeah.
It could come out physically in terms of how it impacts your body. So people could feel it in terms of headaches. They could be experiencing accelerated heart rate. They could be experiencing gastrointestinal upset. They could have cold and clammy hands and feet. There's a wide range of physical symptoms they could have, and it's going to come out in terms of behavior. So there's a very wide range of symptoms that somebody could develop as a result of going through something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And narrowing in a bit, why do mothers experience, that guilt or self-blame or even helplessness in times like this?
Can I change the question a little bit?
Sure.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yes.
And can we say, why does parents?
Yeah.
Because I do not want to take out the fathers.
Absolutely.
In it.
Yeah.
I think that there's the assumption that somehow it is worse for the mothers.
Right.
And I think whether you are dealing with a mother or a father, a parent who loves their child is going to experience a lot of questioning of what could they have done differently. Depending on how it is that child ended up in that situation. What if I had done X, Y, Z?
Right.
Could I have prevented the child from being in the place that led to the situation that led to their death? Could I have done something to help them? Should I have done something to help them? Should I have done something differently? You keep on going through in your mind over and over again, what if? And if I change this, and if I change that, could I have made a difference?
Yeah.
Somebody who loves will experience those kind of questions. Those kind of questions will trigger some sense of guilt. And sometimes guilt is something that it could be deserved, for want of a better way of putting it, meaning there is some act that the parent could have done that may have minimized the risk that the child was at that moment in time.
Right.
And then that person is really dealing with the reality that, hey, I could have done something different, and if I did, it may have led to a different outcome.
Yeah.
But many times it's non-productive guilt where there's really nothing that the person could have done. But the human part of them, the mother, the father wants to believe that I could have done something to intervene into that situation.
Yeah.
It would absolutely cause feelings of helplessness because of the reality that what am I to do? What could I have done? What should I have done? I thought that I could and I would do anything. I would give my life for my child, to save my child. And I'm faced with the situation. I will be the one who protects them, absolutely. I think most parents would probably feel that if they are in a situation that they should and be able to do something to be able to absolutely protect their child. But while, again, that sounds nice, that's not realistic. And there will be many times that people will not be able to do anything to change the outcome. And that would absolutely mean that I would feel helpless and I will feel powerless in that situation. And that I'm going to struggle with that I am supposed to protect my child. And in the end of the day, I was not able to do that.
Yeah. And can the pressure of social media, commentary, or even public scrutiny, can it affect a grieving family in more than one way, and how does it affect that family?
I think it affects it in a couple of different ways.
Right.
One, as I've already kind of mentioned, is that there is no privacy to grieve.
Yes.
Everybody is aware of the story. You have a range of people that you encounter. You have, on a small percentage of things, people who are very close, very concerned about it, and their questioning is from that perspective. On the next extreme, again, a smaller percentage is the people who are just plain, precocious, as we would say in Trinidad. They just want to know what is happening, and if they happen to know you, then they're like, well, I can get this from the horse's mouth. So therefore, they are probing intrusively into what is happening, and that is unsettling for the person. And then there's a vast majority of people in between who hear the story, are concerned, and will interact at a certain level, but eventually they will shift into other things in their life.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, grief is something that has a public and a private component, and when anybody dies, there's a part of it that is public, and it lasts for a relatively contained period of time, and then I can go behind in my home and I could grieve fairly privately, except for who I allow in. In these kind of very public situations, people are talking longer. There's a bigger set of people who are around you than the small circle that other people may experience, may be aware of a death that has happened in their family. Everybody has an opinion on it. You would like to think the opinions would always be kind, but the opinions are not always kind. The opinions are sometimes, well, they should have done this, they should have done that, they were responsible because of this, they were responsible because of that. So, and then depending on where you go into, when it comes to social media, there are certain things that are echo chambers. So if you go into a particular article, and depending on the set of people who normally would read that set of that particular article, there's an echo chamber with regard to the perspective. So there are many times that you are encountering people's comments that can be very intrusive, that could be very judgmental, that could be very blaming, and basically making it seem as if it's because of your negligence, it's because of your whatever that led to this situation. And it makes it even more difficult because you're already dealing with your own internal doubts and questions with regard to the role that you have.
Right.
So I think that social media does have the capacity for good, because you also have the opposite end of that. You have people who are understanding and provide empathy and love and connection and support.
Yes.
So you get some of those comments, but then you also get the negative voice. And at times it is hard to hold space for the negative voice, which is just an echo of the negative voice that is inside of you.
Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Sharon. Also, how can the loss of a child fundamentally alter a parent's sense of identity in these situations? So from that mother's perspective and also the father's perspective, and identity being altered.
You don't go back to the way it was before you lost your child in this way. Life has changed irrevocably. What you knew about life has changed. You had a sense that crime happens, or accidents happen, or bad things happen to good people. You have a sense that, you know, children die, that those things happened. But in your sense of the world, that does not happen to me. That happens to somebody else who is outside of me. And now you have this experience of, oh, this happens to me too. And now you have to adjust your reality to suit that new piece of information that you didn't have before. And each person goes through their own journey of figuring out what that new normal looks like, what this adjusted idea of what it is to be here and to be here without my child looks like. So I don't know that I could give like a list of changes that happen and, you know, you're going to see this and you're going to see that. I think it's highly individualistic.
Yes.
I would just leave it as a life-altering event has happened.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of, well, okay, the funeral is over, or I covered X amount of time. So even when I talked about the idea of the 3 to 7 years,
yes,
and to be clear, the kind of deaths that we are talking about is going closer to the 7 years. Okay, I made X amount of time, therefore I close the book and I just go back to how it was before. That does not happen. It is really just coming to the point where I am able to integrate my experience of what happened in such a way that I am able to live.
Yeah.
I can't change what happened, but I need to find a new way to be able to live because they are gone and I am still here.
Yeah.
That's the journey that the person is making.
Wow. And how do the surviving siblings process that, you know, these violent losses?
With great difficulty, as with their parents. One of the striking things, and whether it's complicated grief or normal grief, is that people grieve in different ways. So in a family, you can actually get a range of different ways that people grieve. Some people do not cry. Some people do cry. Some people like to talk. Some people do not like to talk. And there's no right or wrong per se. The only wrong way to grieve is the way that harms you or harms somebody else. But if it's not harming you, not harming somebody else, then it's good. In a family and with kids, how a kid may express grief may be different than an adult. And among the groups of kids, how they express grief is also going to be different.
Yes.
So they are dealing with the same thing that the adults are dealing with, but at their level, meaning they are going into school where other kids know about it, other kids are talking to them about it, they're getting some positive messages, they're getting some negative messages. They're struggling with the fact that they have lost their sibling. They're struggling with the impact that is having on their parents and how there's sometimes maybe a ripple effect, how it has affected their parenting. You know, if it is, for example, that the child died as a result of child was kidnapped and then murdered, for example, then maybe the freedoms that I would have offered when before that happened is going to change because I don't want to take a chance that my other children are going to be kidnapped. So it does affect parenting. It does affect the decision making. And they are dealing with the whole, and they are also trying to figure out, well, how do I support mommy and daddy in their grief? Because children always want to take care of their parents. So do I become the good child? Do I keep myself quiet how do I do something to make it easier for them? Because I know that they're suffering, but maybe I'm doing that and just suppressing everything. Again, there's a really wide range. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer, but sometimes the children themselves, the surviving children, could become invisible in this story because everybody is so focused on the parents that they don't necessarily see the surviving children, and there's still a level of struggle that is there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, do you think repeated violent incidents, they can cause or causes collective trauma nationally?
Yes, I think that is true.
Yeah.
Because every time, especially when it happens with a child, I mean, it's bad regardless of who it happens to. But when it happens to a child, it's something that I think every decent person feels inside of them.
Yeah.
How could this happen to a child? How could this be done to a child? Where are we as a society? Where are we going? And it's something that resonates at the level of every person that is around. And therefore, it affects it. The anger definitely comes up because anger is one of the first things that will come up in the situation.
Yes.
And it's going to raise some very big questions for the people who are usually responders in these type of situations, maybe police, medical, other parties. Where were they? How did they respond? Politician, what's going on? Why is crime not under control as yet? What are you all doing? There's a lot of conversations that are going to start to raise up as a result of it. And all of that, I think, is people trying to come to terms with this collective trauma of how come we haven't figured this out as yet.
Yeah.
After the last time, why is this continuing over and over and over again?
Yeah. And when you look at that and you probably try to compare it to coping mechanisms, what are some healthy coping mechanisms persons can take on after facing such traumatic loss?
So the difference between complicated grief and normal grief isn't a difference in terms of you need to do something different to grieve. That's just about complicated grief is just about there's a greater level of stuckness to the ebb and flow that is the grief process, and some depending on how the person died and where you were in it, there may have been a few more trauma symptoms and those sort of things.
Yeah.
But the grieving process is the grieving process. And that is to say that exactly the same thing that you would suggest for somebody who has died under quote-unquote natural circumstances, are good ways to think about grieving. One, understanding that grieving is a process, it's not an event. It's not going to just switch off, because X is done. Funeral and those are sort of ceremonies, rituals are an important part of starting the grieving process, but they do not end the grieving process.
Yeah.
Understanding that after that initial outpour of public scrutiny and support and whatnot, things are going to get quiet. And how do I cope with it in the quietness? In a way that is going to be meaningful and helpful. Understanding how do I personally grieve, and not getting too stuck in, I should be doing this. I have a lot of people who say, well, I don't cry. Very few say I should cry, as I want to cry. But they may be more worried, like, isn't it normal to cry? And then I say, well, okay, yeah, some people actually do cry, and there are enormous benefits to crying. So if you are one of those people who benefit from crying, absolutely cry. Don't stop yourself for all the other reasons why you may say crying is bad. Go ahead and cry. But if you are not one of those persons who lean into crying as a coping mechanism, not crying does not mean that you are not grieving, right? You may have a different internal process that you are using in order to be able to grieve. So I think that part of it is that you just really have to be true to who you are. I do think you have to be respectful of the grieving process of the people who are around you. You kind of have to know your family. You have to know when having too many conversations is actually tripping them up instead of helping them out.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, you're kind of rushing in to be there and be support, but it's actually feeling a little bit too intrusive, and the person needs more space than you're offering them. You know, you're navigating this. You're learning what is the way that I know about how I grieve and they grieve. You have to expect that, as I said, grief happens in waves. It comes in, it goes out. So that I am not always going to be on this one straight line. I'm going to go up and down, and I have to make some accommodations for that. And just in normal strategies that you would use for stress management, healthy stress management.
Yeah.
Manage your diet, manage your exercise, make sure that you are taking some time for yourself. Make sure that you're building in some time for your normal activities, the things that interest you. Don't cut off people too much. It's okay to withdraw a bit when you need privacy,
right.
But don't withdraw totally and kind of cut people out of your life. Distraction is a great short-term strategy. So feel free to use distraction, but understand it for what it is. It is a short-term strategy.
Right.
In order to be able to get to the healing part of the grieving process, you actually have to allow yourself into that place of pain. So in a kind of a sense, the place of healing is the place of pain. There are times when you have to go there and be there in the moment, in the memories, in the sorrow, in the loss, in the why did this happen, in God, why did you allow this to happen to me? Why were there so many failures? You have to fully allow yourself to be there in that.
Yeah.
And then there are other times when you just have to allow yourself to kind of stand up out of your grief. Say, well, okay, today is a kind of better day. Today I could go and potter around a little bit. Today I can, actually I have to go to work because I don't feel 100%, but you know what, I'm showing up for work.
Yes.
And I'm going to try to focus and get things done. You know what, lost Sharon, and feeling that really, really bad, but I have 4 others there. So I can't just be so focused on Sharon that I'm not seeing the other 4 that is there. There's a lot of mental work,
yes.
Encouraging yourself, kind of forcing yourself to get up and just do it, even though you don't feel like you're doing it. And just giving yourself some grace for the days that you just don't do it well.
Yeah.
It's okay, the world is not going to break you, but you know, every day you didn't show up as super mom, super dad, and you kind of fell apart a little bit. That's okay. And the one last thing that I kind of want to say, just because I feel very passionately about it,
yeah.
is that there's a tendency of parents to kind of want to shelter their siblings from their children, from surviving children,
yeah.
from seeing them cry and seeing them grieve. But sometimes that's actually giving your children permission to grieve.
Wow.
So you think that you have to be strong, right? If you are not, strong, then that is going to cause them to not be strong. And usually the barometer of strong or not strong is a crying or not crying, right?
Yes.
So you have to put on a smile, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you never show that it hurts. And I don't subscribe to that. I think there is great value in modeling that I loved, I lost, I'm in pain,
Yeah.
I hurt, so that they can know that it's okay for them, that they loved, they lost, they're in pain, and they hurt. And then it's good for them to also see the model of I struggled, but I got up, I sat up, I started to walk, I started to run, because then they know that they could do that too. They know they could get up out of their pain, they could sit for a while, they could walk, they could run, and they could get to that place of healing, and we could do it together. I could lean in. I'm not saying it in the sense of parent depend on your children to fix you. That's not what I'm saying. If you need help, you need help. But there is value for them understanding that it is okay to feel how they are feeling.
Yeah. And on that mental health note, would you say are there, enough mental health services accessible for grieving families in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, I would say that there are mental health services that are available for the grieving families. Whether it's enough is a different matter. I don't know that there's ever enough resources. Especially it also depends on what somebody has available to them.
Yeah.
If you have the money to be able to get help, then I would say there's enough. There's enough mental health professionals who are well trained and who could provide support in these sort of situations.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of knowing how to go about identifying them and accessing them. If you are in a position where you are dependent on getting government resources, state resources, it may be a bit strained.
Yeah.
There is the resources that are provided to victims of crime through the government.
Yeah.
There's a counseling division that provides that level of support. I've gotten a mixed sense from clients who may have accessed them. Couple of people who they were very prompt and they were able to provide very good support. Some other people that they would not have heard, for a period of time. I'm assuming that that is just a measure of the amount of work that is on probably what is a small unit.
Right.
There are some pockets of government where you could access the counseling services aside from that specialized unit. So through National Family Services. So there are services that are around, but whether it's ever enough, especially if somebody doesn't have the financial means to put out to counseling, is a different matter.
Yeah. And how can society better support grieving families instead of re-traumatizing them?
I think, one, put in more resources. Following up on the last question, I'll lean into it probably not enough. So put in the more resources and maybe make that section bigger than it is to suit the actual quantity of people that it has to support, ramp up the training to provide this kind of specialized support. So there are systemic structural changes that could take place that is going to provide greater support. But I think the average person can also make things easier. You make things easier simply by understanding that this is one of the worst days of the lives of the persons that are involved, the surviving members.
Yeah.
And it starts off as a series of worst days of their lives. And you may think that you have enough information to form an opinion and to state an opinion, but chances are you do not. This is a matter that once it's a crime, this is a matter that is being actively investigated. there's a lot of information that is not fully disclosed. And sometimes we have a rush to put in an opinion, to make a statement, to make a judgment. And I think unless there is some very clear evidence of real negligence and real criminal level negligence and criminal level activities on the part of the parent themselves or the part of the family members themselves, let's maybe just focus on being kinder and just respecting that you are seeing somebody at the worst moment in their lives, and withhold those judgments and simply move more into a supportive type role. That is how I think each one of us have the ability to make a difference, because we don't know when we leave the keyboard and the comments and we went home merrily along our way. We don't know about the parents or the siblings who are reading the comments and taking them and internalizing them, and the impact it is having on them. So that would be the two main things: bring more resources and bring more kindness and empathy and understanding of what I don't know and what I do know, and just provide support to grieving people who just need that level of support. Because believe me, whatever you are saying, the surviving members have already thought about, are already saying to themselves, and they've been struggling with, and they'll continue to struggle with for years and years and years.
Yeah. And lastly, what message would you leave to parents currently navigating this kind of pain?
Give yourself some grace. It's going to be a long, very painful journey. There's going to be lots of ups and downs. You're really going to struggle with this space. The days that you could get up. Do what you have to do, because whether you understand it or you don't understand it, you are still here. You still have a lot of stuff to do. Life, in that sense, does go on. But the days that you can't, give yourself some grace and allow yourself to feel what you have to feel. Understand that it's a wave, so that it's going to come in, but it's going to come out again, and learn to ride the waves. And I assure you that this is going to get better. It's not going to go back to the way it was before. However, new normal does not have to be less. It could be worse than your past experience, depending on how you treat with it. It could be different but same in a kind of way, not lead to any improvement. New normal could also be better. So give yourself the grace, and if you need help, reach out for the help, because they are trained and competent professionals who could provide a safe space for you to be whatever you need to be as you manage this loss.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sharon, as always, for coming on and being a part of the conversations that we have, and for sharing such informative, sensitive, and timely information with us. Is truly, we're grateful that you come on and share with us every time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
WESN.
In every victory, there's a story. In every defeat, there's a lesson. And behind every headline, there's a truth waiting to be told. Next week, veteran sports journalist Andre Batiste takes you beyond the scores, beyond the medals, and beyond the controversy in a special multi-episode series. The good, the bad, and the ugly of sports in Trinidad and Tobago. Hear from some of the nation's top athletes, administrators, coaches, and the biggest names in local sport as they share their triumphs, challenges,